When they throwing rocks at you, stay on the wall. If you come down off the wall to address haters and small people, see they eye level with you now.
That I've never seen a black person be involved with him and then come out unscathed without being tainted by his bullshit.
I feel like it's the key to like truly being happy in or out of a relationship.
DL Hughley just turned up the pressure on Steve Harvey, and anyone who's been following the situation knows this tension didn't appear overnight. The connection between these two has reportedly been on shaky ground for quite a while, and now more details are starting to come out, and they're raising a lot of eyebrows. One of the first major cracks in their relationship reportedly happened when Steve Harvey began spending time around high-profile political circles. While many people were closely watching those developments, DL made it clear he wasn't on the same page. He publicly suggested that Steve wasn't seeing the bigger picture and argued that Steve may have been getting caught up in situations that didn't have his best interests in mind. But that disagreement alone wasn't what really pushed things to the edge. What reportedly pushed things to a whole different level wasn't a public disagreement at all. It was something much more personal. According to people said to be familiar with the situation, Steve Harvey allegedly made a remark about DL's daughter that DL felt crossed a serious line. Whatever was said, it was reportedly viewed as disrespectful enough that DL decided the relationship could not be repaired, and he stood firmly by that decision.
Gotta be real careful, because Lori, boy, she be in my... I can't make no mistakes. I can't make stuff.
Now, DL is responding publicly and making it clear he has his own thoughts about Steve's family situation. To be clear, these are still allegations and claims being discussed by various sources. The accusation being circulated is that Steve allegedly made a comment suggesting DL's parenting should be questioned because of his daughter's personal identity. That claim has sparked strong reactions and become a major talking point in the ongoing feud. And what has many people talking is who the comment allegedly came from. When people compare the backgrounds of both men, they point to some striking differences. Steve Harvey has had multiple marriages, while DL Hughley has been married to LaDonna Hughley since 1986. That's more than 40 decades together, raising 3 children and facing life's challenges as a family. DL has spoken openly about mistakes he made during the marriage, and instead of walking away, he and LaDonna worked through difficult times and kept moving forward. Their long-lasting relationship is one reason many supporters question why DL's parenting would even be a target of criticism.
I can't question Steve's motive for going to see him. I think that Steve is the kind of guy that believes that something good can come out of the visit.
Now the conversation shifts to DL's daughter, Tyler, because this is where the discussion takes another turn. DL has previously shared that Tyler was nervous about opening up to him about a very personal part of her life, a moment that would later become an important chapter in their family story. DL has spoken about that situation publicly, and what stood out to many people was his honesty. He didn't react with anger or try to make excuses. Instead, he expressed genuine sadness that his daughter ever felt uncomfortable sharing something so personal with him. That kind of self-reflection is something many people respect because it shows a willingness to listen, learn, and grow. When Tyler eventually opened up, DL publicly showed his support and made it clear that family came first. Rather than turning the moment into a debate about himself, he focused on being there for his daughter and strengthening their relationship. Many observers saw that as an example of a parent working through difficult emotions while still putting their child's well-being at the center of the conversation. Another point supporters often bring up is that Tyler generally stays out of the spotlight. She isn't constantly making headlines, chasing attention, or becoming the center of public controversy. Instead, she has built a private life with her longtime partner and largely stays away from the noise of celebrity culture. To many people, that reflects a stable foundation and a family environment that allowed her to build a life on her own terms. That allegation is what reportedly caused this situation to explode into a much bigger bigger public discussion. According to sources, DL's response wasn't meant to be a personal attack on Lori herself. The argument, as it has been described, centered on what he viewed as a contradiction. Critics have argued that if someone is widely known for giving relationship advice and speaking on family values, people will naturally compare those public messages to what they see happening within that person's own family. That's the point supporters of DL's position say was being raised. And when people started looking back, many pointed to events from years ago as part of the larger conversation. Some say the timeline stretches back much further than most remember, including discussions surrounding Lori Harvey's past high-profile relationships, which often attracted significant media attention and public interest. By June 2017, Lori Harvey and Memphis Depay were engaged, and Steve Harvey appeared excited about the future. He even shared public support for the relationship, leading many fans to believe wedding plans could eventually be on the horizon. But the engagement ended less than a year later, and the relationship came to a close, surprising many people who had been following the story. After that, Lori was linked to several other well-known names, and media attention around her dating life only grew stronger. Trey Songz was one of the people frequently mentioned in reports at the time, while rumors also connected her to Formula One champion Lewis Hamilton. As with many celebrity stories, much of the speculation came from entertainment outlets and online discussions, while several of the claims were never publicly confirmed by those involved.
Did you already know before she told you? Oh, really? So it was a total... Wasn't your parents say like, oh yeah, I've known since you were 5?
It wasn't a total shock, but it just wasn't something I thought about, but it wasn't... I can't say I was shocked, but I can also say it's nothing I thought about. I didn't freak out. It wasn't inconsistent with my idea of her.
Then came another chapter that generated even more headlines across celebrity media. Reports and rumors began circulating about connections involving members of a famous entertainment family, leading to widespread discussion online. Stories about who was dating whom changed quickly, and the situation became a major topic across blogs and entertainment platforms. Whether all of the claims were accurate or not, the attention surrounding Lori's personal life continued to grow and kept people talking for months. As the story continued to unfold, photos and public appearances became a major part of the conversation. Entertainment outlets closely followed Lori Harvey's relationships, and every outing seemed to spark a new round of headlines. Different reports and claims circulated online, with some details being disputed while others remained the subject of ongoing speculation. The result was a situation that kept celebrity watchers talking for months and generated non-stop discussion across social media. Then came Michael B. Jordan, a relationship that many fans strongly supported. Steve publicly appeared to approve of the parent, and reports suggested that he and Michael developed a positive connection. For a while, many people viewed the relationship as one of Hollywood's most promising couples. However, the romance eventually ended, and speculation about the reasons spread quickly online. Various reports claimed Lori wanted something different at that stage of her life, though the full details remained private, leaving fans with plenty of questions and theories. Not long after her relationship with Michael B. Jordan ended, Lori Harvey was linked to actor Damson Idris, and once again, the spotlight followed every move. Fans and entertainment outlets paid close attention, with many wondering whether this relationship would be different from the ones that came before it. Now, new rumors and speculation have started making the rounds online, with some reports suggesting the relationship may have changed direction. It's important to note that many of these claims remain unconfirmed, but they've still generated plenty of discussion across social media and celebrity blogs. One of the biggest talking points came after Damson was seen publicly with another woman, a model named Avari Lanai. Online observers also noticed reports about social media activity involving people within Damson's circle. Of course, social media activity doesn't automatically prove anything, and there could be several explanations. Still, those details were enough to get rumor mills spinning and keep fans debating what might really be going on behind the scenes.
That her fear of how I would react plagued her more than my actual reaction, and that I had done a thing that obviously I had done something that would make her feel she was unsafe. That was hard to take, that I had fomented this idea in her that she wasn't safe talking Like I'm her best friend.
As the rumors continued to spread, Lori responded publicly through Instagram stories and pushed back hard against what she described as false narratives. In her message, she suggested that people creating stories for attention and clicks might eventually have to answer for it, making it clear that she was not happy with the speculation surrounding her personal life. That response immediately sparked even more discussion online. Social media users jumped into the conversation, sharing their own opinions about the situation and debating where the line should be drawn between public commentary and unverified claims. Many people pointed to publicly available photos and reports that had already circulated online, arguing that those images were part of what fueled the discussion in the first place. Others noted that legal disputes involving public figures can be extremely complex, especially when there are disputes over factual claims versus personal opinions. As a result, the debate quickly shifted from the original rumors to a larger conversation about celebrity culture and privacy and online speculation. Now, bringing the focus back to DL Hughley and Steve Harvey, reports claim that DL's response was essentially that Steve should pay closer attention to matters within his own family before criticizing anyone else's. That remark quickly gained traction and became one of the most talked about aspects of the ongoing feud. For many people discussing the situation, the issue wasn't necessarily about Lori herself. Instead, they focused on Steve's long-standing public image as a relationship expert and motivational voice. Over the years, Steve Harvey has built a major brand around offering advice on dating, relationships, and personal growth, which is why critics and supporters alike often hold his public comments to a higher level of scrutiny. Critics of Steve Harvey's position argue that there's a contrast between the relationship advice he shares publicly and the way people perceive events involving his own family. Over the years, Lori Harvey's dating life has attracted significant media attention, with several high-profile relationships becoming major topics across entertainment news and social media.
When my daughter got married, both my daughters, but when my young daughter got married, I was so relieved that she was surrounded by love. It was like, I wanted her to be happy and safe.
Supporters of DL's viewpoint often emphasize that Lori is an adult who makes her own decisions, and that isn't the central issue being debated. Instead, they focus on Steve's public role as someone who frequently speaks about family values, relationships, and the responsibilities of fathers. That's why some commentators have questioned reports suggesting Steve's interactions with certain people may have changed after relationships ended. Whether those reports are accurate or not, they have become another layer in the controversy that continues to generate discussion and strong opinions online. If you look at why this story has grabbed so much attention, it comes down to expectations. Steve Harvey didn't become famous for relationship advice overnight. For years, he built a reputation around telling people what healthy relationships should look like, what standards they should have, and what mistakes they should avoid. That advice turned into books, television appearances, interviews, and an entire public image that millions of people came to recognize. Because of that, critics argue that Steve is held to a different standard than most celebrities. When someone spends decades giving guidance on family and relationships, people naturally start comparing the advice to real-life situations connected to that person's world. Fair or not, that's how public perception works, and it's exactly why these comments allegedly involving DL struck such a nerve. What makes the situation even more complicated is that neither man is known for backing down from a public disagreement. DL has built his career on saying exactly what he thinks, even when it makes people uncomfortable. Steve, meanwhile, has spent years defending his views and standing firmly behind his brand. Put those two personalities on opposite sides of the same argument, and it was almost guaranteed to create friction. And according to people who have followed both careers closely, the tension may have been building beneath the surface for much longer than anyone realized. The public only started paying attention when the personal shots allegedly entered the conversation, but some observers believe the real divide started years earlier, when their views on success, public responsibility, and influence began moving in completely different directions. That difference in perspective is what many people believe sits at the center of this entire clash. On one side, you have Steve Harvey, whose career evolved into a brand built around motivation, self-improvement, and relationship advice. On the other, you have DL Hughley, who built his reputation by challenging popular opinions, questioning public figures, and refusing to soften his views just to keep the peace. Over the years, those two approaches have created very different audiences. Steve often speaks about structure, discipline, and personal responsibility, while DL tends to focus on accountability, public scrutiny, and asking uncomfortable questions. Neither approach is automatically right or wrong, but when two influential voices see the world through completely different lenses, disagreements can quickly become personal. What makes the situation especially interesting is that both men have been respected figures in entertainment for decades. They've each built successful careers, survived industry changes, and remained relevant while many others faded from the spotlight. That history is part of why people are paying such close attention. This isn't a dispute between two newcomers trying to grab attention. These are two veterans with long careers, strong opinions, and loyal supporters on both sides.
I saw one of our exes somewhere at a game somewhere, and I shook his hand. Boy, I can't even touch his no more. I better not acknowledge him or look at him or nothing no more. So I'm off limits. If you are ex, your is my ex too.
And for some observers, that's why the alleged comments became such a flashpoint. The discussion stopped being just about one remark and started becoming a larger debate about credibility, influence, and who has the standing to judge someone else's family decisions. Once those questions entered the picture, the focus shifted far beyond a simple disagreement and into something much bigger. Another reason this story has stuck around is because people started digging through years of interviews, clips, and public statements looking for context. Once a disagreement between two well-known figures becomes public, every old comment suddenly gets re-examined. Fans and critics alike began asking whether there were signs of tension long before anyone realized it. Some observers point to moments where DL and Steve appeared to approach major topics from completely different angles. Even when they weren't directly addressing each other, their views on public responsibility, celebrity influence, and social issues often seemed worlds apart. At the time, those differences may not have seemed significant. Looking back now, some people believe they were early indicators that the two men simply saw certain issues very differently. What's interesting is that neither side appears eager to completely back away from their position. DL has never been known for staying quiet when he feels strongly about something, and Steve has spent years projecting confidence in both his opinions and his brand. When two public figures with that level of conviction find themselves at odds, compromises are rarely the first thing people expect to see. And that brings the focus to what happens next. Because once personal criticism enters the conversation, public disagreements often take on a life of their own. The original issue can become only one piece of a much larger story, with old grievances, competing narratives, and long-standing frustrations all starting to surface at the same time. What also makes this situation stand out is how differently people are interpreting the same set of events. Some believe DL's response was about defending his family and pushing back against what he viewed as an unfair criticism. Others see it as a challenge to Steve's public image, arguing that when someone positions themselves as a source of guidance, their own record will inevitably be examined just as closely as the advice they give. That debate has created two very different camps of opinion. Supporters of Steve argue that no public figure should have every aspect of their family life used as a measuring stick for their professional work. Meanwhile, supporters of DL countered that public commentary comes with public scrutiny, especially when someone regularly discusses relationships, parenting, and personal responsibility. The disagreement isn't just about one alleged comment anymore. It's about the standards people expect from influential voices.
Lori Harvey posted this picture on her Instagram. She said, I hope y'all have had so much fun creating false narratives about me for clickbait because I'm about to have so much fun suing y'all.
There's also another layer that often gets overlooked. Both men have spent decades in entertainment, an industry where public perception can change overnight. They understand better than most how quickly narratives form and how difficult they can be to control once they take off. That experience may explain why neither side appears willing to simply let the discussion fade away without addressing it. And the more people revisit the history between them, the more they notice that this conflict seems to be about more than a single disagreement. It's becoming a story about respect, reputation, and the consequences that can follow when private frustrations reportedly spill into the public arena. What's especially interesting is that neither DL nor Steve built their careers by blending into the background. Both men became successful because they developed strong voices, strong opinions, and a willingness to say things that got people talking. That approach helped them stand out in the crowded entertainment world, but it also means that when disagreements happen, they rarely stay private for long. For DL, much of his reputation has been built on challenging people he believes deserve criticism, regardless of their status or popularity. He has never been known for avoiding uncomfortable conversations, and that direct style has earned him both loyal supporters and vocal critics over the years. People who follow his career would probably say that backing down has never really been part of his playbook. Steve, meanwhile, created a very different path to influence. His brand expanded far beyond comedy into television, business ventures, motivational speaking, and relationship advice. That broad reach gave him a platform that extends well beyond entertainment, which is one reason comments involving him often receive so much attention. When someone becomes associated with life lessons and personal guidance, audiences naturally analyze their words through a different lens, and that may be why this situation continues to generate so much discussion. The disagreement isn't being viewed as a simple exchange of opinions. To many observers, it represents a collision between two public figures who have spent years building powerful reputations in completely different ways, and neither reputation was built by staying silent when challenged. Another factor keeping attention on this story is the question of perception versus reality. In the entertainment world, public images are carefully built over many years, but a single controversy can suddenly change how people view someone. That doesn't mean the public perception is always accurate, but it does mean that once a narrative takes hold, it can become difficult to separate the facts from the assumptions. That's where supporters of both men continue to clash. Some people believe Steve's decades of success, philanthropy, and professional achievements should carry more weight than any recent controversy. Others argue that public influence comes with heightened accountability, and that difficult questions are part of the territory when someone occupies such a visible position. The disagreement often says as much about the audience as it does about the people involved.
Very much in a space right now where I'm not doing anything that's going to compromise my peace and happiness. Maintain your power, don't give your power away to anybody.
What makes this situation even more complicated is that neither man exists in a vacuum. Both have built extensive networks of friends, colleagues, business partners, and supporters over the years. Whenever a dispute like this surfaces, people naturally begin choosing sides, offering opinions, and sharing their own interpretations of events. Sometimes those outside voices add clarity, and other times they make the picture even harder to understand. And as more attention gets directed toward the history between DL and Steve, some observers have started wondering whether there were moments in the past that were overlooked at the time. Looking back through years of interviews, appearances, and public interactions, people are searching for clues about when the relationship may have started changing and whether the signs were there long before anyone noticed them. At the heart of this debate is a question that keeps coming up again and again. Critics argue that when someone spends years offering advice about relationships, family values, and personal choices, people will naturally compare those messages to the situations connected to their own life. Fair or unfair, that comparison becomes part of the public conversation. That's the contradiction DL Hughley supporters say he was highlighting. Their argument isn't necessarily about judging anyone's personal decisions, but about whether public advice and real-world outcomes always line up the way people expect. When a public figure becomes known for guiding others, questions about consistency are almost inevitable, especially when personal matters become headline news. No matter which side people support, one thing is clear. This story has grown far beyond a simple disagreement between two entertainers. It has turned into a larger discussion about accountability, public image, family, and the expectations placed on influential voices. And with so many opinions still being shared, it doesn't look like the debate is ending anytime soon. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you think DL Hughley had a point, or do you think the criticism goes too far? Drop your take in the comments below and join the conversation. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, share this video with others, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next update. Thanks for watching.